Frankly, Scarlett, I don't give a damn.
You don't give a damn? Wanda!
Well, guess that line. I mean, it comes from a very awesome movie.
Or book, depending on what you're
Or
into.
a book, yeah. Or the famous line, Miss Scarlett, I don't know nothing about birthing no babies.
Oh, that's the worst part of that movie, too, because you just want to... And then she slaps her, and it's so gratifying. Just...
It is.
Done! No! Bad!
Well, hey, jumping on that, this is Wanda.
I'm Tammy, and welcome to the Tammy and Wanda Show.
I feel like we need, like, the background music for Gone with the Wind.
I didn't look that up ahead of time.
Man, that would have been great.
That was a massive miss there.
That was
or
an open
Tara's theme.
Yeah. I should have been wearing my curtain dress.
Yes.
Like, made out of my curtains. I didn't. That was an opportunity missed. I'm very sorry, guys.
See, you should have done it the wrong way, like Carol Burnett, like when they were
spoofing the show. That was the best ever.
When the curtain rod's, like, back behind her still, and she's got them on, and she keeps hitting stuff off the walls.
Oh, that would be me.
That was the best.
That would be Wanda.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of Wanda things that I think you might like in today's episode.
You guys are in for a treat.
So, every few weeks, we do a Lost in Translation, and we've been doing Generations recently. So, today we decided to have a little bit more fun and do Gone with the Wind, if you haven't already picked that up. And because if you've either read or watched this particular piece of artwork, there's a lot of bizarre terms that we don't use in today's society. And I want to start with a few that I found that are slang words people use today based on this movie. Now, there's one I didn't write down that we're going to start with. Gone with the Wind fabulous, thanks to our girlfriend Kenya.
Kenya.
On Real
Gone
Housewives
with the
of
Wind
Atlanta.
Fabulous. I mean...
You got to do the spin with it, too.
Yep, I know, like...
Hair flip, yes.
If I had hair, it would be everywhere now. Funny story, my grandma actually went on a date and saw this movie in theater.
No way.
Yes.
That's awesome.
She went on a date. She was like... when I first got introduced to Gone with the Wind, she goes, this reminds me of a time when I went and saw this in theaters. And I'm like, really? You went and saw this in theaters? I'm like, this is like a 4.5-hour movie, Grandma. You sat there that whole time? She's like, oh no. You know that intermission that they have in the movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, they had that in the theater.
Oh, so that whole 15-minute chunk you get to go walk around and pee and stuff?
Yeah, they were just like, they kind of treated it like an actual, theater production.
Oh my god, that's
great.
So
So she's like, we got a 15-20 minute intermission.
I don't
she's
know that'd
right
be
there.
enough.
I don't think so. Because you had 2 hours for this part and then you had 2 hours for that part.
No, it's necessary because of how it's written.
For how much stuff. I mean, that book is
it's almost 1,500 pages. I read it.
That's right.
Yep. It's
Tammy.
It's a lot.
Wanda would have gotten through 20 pages and then tapped out.
Well, I gotta say, since we're doing the terminology from this, reading it was very difficult because they put in slave speak from that time period.
Yeah, slave speak is very hard to say. Even in To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yes.
I mean, they have a lot of slang terms that slaves
and you have to
use.
say it out loud as you're reading it, or else it doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of cool how they had their own language while they were being oppressed terribly. So that's kind of neat.
Well, I mean that was something that I learned during tours when I would go down in South Carolina and do plantation tours. They were they made up some of this language so that they weren't caught by the people that were the
carpetbaggers and the the guys that were, oh my gosh, the guys that ran the plantation. Why can't I think what that's called now?
It has slipped out of my mind.
And it slipped right past mine and right out the door of the studio.
I mean, it went through this ear. If you guys saw it, if you guys are watching our YouTube, it slipped out of this ear and went through hers, and then it went right out the window like a ghost. All right, so
the next one that was a slang word that I thought was really funny is the Scarlett OHara, which means that you are putting something off until another time or procrastinating. For her famous line, "'Cause after all, tomorrow is another day," which is the last line of the film.
That is very funny. I do a lot of Scarlett OHara.
You do?
I feel like I procrastinate a lot. I mean, my middle name is procrastination.
Or maybe your middle name is Scarlett OHara.
Oh, Ooh.
Possibly.
Ooh.
There's also one called Scarlett OHara Neck, which I was like, what the hell is this?
I mean, her neck is like a goose.
Well, it's because it's drastically being kissed when you're leaning back at a crazy angle. That's what Scarlett OHara Neck is. So she would do that. And a funny mythos for this movie is the reason why she was always bending back is because apparently Clark Gable had terrible breath because he was a smoker.
I heard that.
So she was trying to get away from him, and that's why she had all those weird neck moments. So there's always a reason for these things.
Could you just see those directors like, cut, Scarlett? You need to look. It's like, no, he has horrible breath. I do not want him anywhere near me.
And when you watch it too, like they're like right on top of each other for all of those important
I know,
lines
and she's
stuff.
like always like away from him.
Yeah, like, or she looks away, or it's all dramatic, and you think, wow, what a bitch, but it's got a reason.
I mean, it worked in her favor.
Speaking of Clark Gable, the last current slang word is full Gable. So what that means, to pull off a full Gable, it's a dip combined with a long, passionate kiss, which I thought was pretty cool. So,
I see that.
very romantic. Now, did you know that if adjusted for inflation, that Gone with the Wind is still the top grossing movie of all time?
I can believe that.
So if prices for cinema were what they are today, it would still be the highest grossing film.
You know, a nickel.
Well, it probably was like 5 or 10 cents back then.
It was. My grandma only paid a nickel
to go see Gone with the Wind.
To go see Gone with the Wind. The highest grossing film.
I can't imagine and going to see that in a theater, because a lot of times it's my favorite movie.
Yeah.
I stop it at intermission and I come back to it like the next day when I've got another 2 hours to burn.
I mean, what did I do? When Netflix sent out the DVDs, I'm like, oh, Gone with the Wind, fantastic. When it came to me and it was on 2 DVDs, I was like, what the hell? What is?
Because they stop it at intermission.
Yes.
Yep.
They're just like, It's very funny how it goes in there. It's like, intermission, change DVD. Okay.
And sometimes, since I know what happens in the first part, I only watch the second one.
Oh, there you go.
Because that's where the meat and potatoes of the story happens. Because they have to introduce a whole bunch of crap.
They have to put that whole, like, building that character, building everything, and then bring out the meat and potatoes. That's an appetizer.
And I gotta tell you, I get so angry in every scene she has with Ashley Wilkes. Because I know how it ends. And we're not going to spoil it, even though it's a gabillion-year-old movie. But it's one of those movies where you know what's going to happen, and you see the main character, or in this case, the anti-hero protagonist, having this, like, ginormous struggle with her love for this guy that doesn't love her back the entire movie.
From our last episode, let's talk about that. That's her summer fling right there.
That was her summer fling.
Summer fling!
And then he led her on and married someone else.
Yep. That's what happened. That's all of our summer flings right there. That is our Ashley.
Our most famous anti-hero even got screwed over by a summer fling herself. So there you go.
There we go.
So I'm
Take that, Scarlett OHara.
Speaking of her, fiddle-dee-dee is like something she says a lot throughout the movie.
A lot.
And what that means is it's an expression of scorn, disgust, dismissal, or disbelief. And she usually says it when she's angry, I've noticed.
You know, a lot of these words are very much like Southern words.
Yes.
Just
so
like,
if you're from the South,
fiddly-dee-dee.
You may still use these. We don't know because we don't live there.
Probably.
But modern equivalents to fiddle-dee-dee would be whatevs or bitch please, which was kind of my favorite of the two
bitch
modern
please
ones.
is mine. Yep.
That was pretty good. So she says it a lot, and it's because if you know her as a character, she gets angry with the men in her life very easily because they're all incompetent in her mind, and she's smarter than them. So she gets frustrated with them easily, and that's why that word's used quite often in the movie.
Because she is a pompous jackass.
She can be. I mean...
She can be. I mean, when she did have that moment of trial and tribulation, when it really mattered, like...
As God is my witness, I'll never be hungry again! That moment right there.
Yep. So, I mean, she, like... like, she was just this pompous little bitch in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Then she realizes she has no control over any of this.
Right.
So she kind of, like, loses her own control and self-worth because she's like, what the fuck do I do? I'm a fiddly-dee-dee-deer.
My dad's going psych, or losing his mind,
Yep.
and I don't have a husband because my husband's dead, and I'm starving, and I have all these people to feed. What am I going to do?
Yeah, so it's like you go through all of that, and it's almost like a grow-up moment for her, like a very short grow-up moment.
Well, it doesn't stick.
It doesn't stay long.
Once she makes it through it, she learns that she needs to depend on only herself.
That would be like me, like, oh, this is before my credit report goes really bad. Then it goes really bad, and I'm like, oh, I need to do better. And then another credit card comes out.
And then you're like, whoops.
I tried. Back in the hole again.
I tried. She's also really good at what they call in the movie trifling. So that is messing with someone's emotions, particularly by putting on pretenses of courtship, which is what she does to Charles Hamilton,
that's
first
true.
husband.
Yep.
She doesn't want him. She's just trying to make Ashley jealous.
Oh, yeah.
That's sad. Poor Charles.
Haven't we all done that?
Poor Charles.
At some point in our lives.
I feel really bad for Charles because you go through that, and she's a very strikingly beautiful woman.
She is.
And she's like the belle of the ball in the beginning of this movie, and everybody wants to eat cake with her or eat lunch with her at that, what was it, a picnic of some kind?
Yeah.
At the Wilkes' house, and everybody wants to be near her, and she had her pick of any man, and she picks Charles Hamilton just because he's there in the moment she's upset.
She's like, who can I use to make Ashley mad? You!
Oh, ironically, the brother of the woman you're going to marry. Weird how that worked out, huh?
Isn't it ironic? Don't you think? Thank you, Alanis Morissette.
Yes. Another wonderful human. So, Alanis Morissette's music could be, if used in Southern terms from back in the day, it could be described as ribald. And I don't know if I'm even saying that right. But humorously vulgar is what that word means.
Oh, yes.
So Alanis music would fall into that.
For that trifling bitch.
Well, especially Jagged Little Pill. She's gotten a bit more mature since then, but her stuck. Her stuck. Oh. I wonder if some of our older audience members might not be already suffering from something called dotage. Mental infirmity as a consequence of old age. I didn't even know there was a word for that. Does that mean like a backslide into old age, or like...
Like you're getting over the hill kind of thing?
That's what it sounds like to me. An over the hill.
I'm like, what did you say to me?
Excuse me. How dare you? Being called ribald might be tortuous, which is my next favorite. Highly complex or intricate and occasionally devious, which is a great way to describe Scarlett OHara, actually.
Oh my, well, fiddly dee dee.
She's a torturous woman.
Yeah, some of these words, it boggles my mind.
Like buck.
Yeah.
Buck was funny to me because it's like they're describing their significant other as a deer.
Well, if you think about it, like a young buck would be considered someone strapping, someone young, someone...
That's exactly what it means.
Powerful. I mean, I like glimpsed at it, but I didn't really pay attention to it. But yeah, like, I mean, when I do, like when I talk about people, I'm just like, well, look at that young buck.
And Gen Zers would call these people hotties.
That's right.
Yeah, hotties. Or a beau has now went from the word beau for significant other to bae recently.
I don't understand.
That's where we got.
Why did you drop the B? Why?
It doesn't make any sense.
Tell me why you dropped the B to make bae.
And it's not any easier or quicker to say.
No!
Babe, bae. Babe, bae.
Down by the bay.
Now I feel like I'm Moira Rose from Schitt's Creek. Baby.
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 Hello. It is a wonderful winery.
The fruit wine of Herb Erblinger.
A nice fruit wine. Baby.
Baby.
That is a whole story on itself.
Yeah, we'll have to do a lingo of Moira Rose. Just Moira. Because the rest of them speak pretty normally.
My name is Moira Rose.
The little baby.
Sweet baby.
I wonder if Moira ever wears a shimmy, which is a word from back then.
Is that like the underdress?
Yes, actually, it's a satin or trimmed with lace undergarment.
You know, I've always been curious about how all that worked. I mean, I've watched a lot of YouTube videos on how they get themselves all dressed up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like a 20-step process.
It's a lot of layers. You can't... How did they not die from heat exhaustion like every day?
I know.
In
I would be passing the fuck out, man. It's...
Well, because you got the shimmy, you got the corset, you got the whatever underwear was at the time, because I think it was bloomers. More like a pantaloon bloomer situation.
Yeah, the pantaloons.
And then they'd have, like, I guess the pantaloons were over the bloomers, because that's what went down to, like, your mid-calf region.
Because, believe me, if you showed an ankle, you were scandalous.
What a skank.
Yeah, I mean, that was slut territory.
Yes, it was. And then they have the thing that goes right underneath where your bra would stop.
Those hoops.
Yeah, the hoop skirt.
The hoop skirt.
And then the crinoline would go over the hoop skirt to give you a bit more woof.
Could you just imagine wearing that whalebone?
No.
For literally a whalebone corset, literally for like 15 hours.
No, and there's a scene in this movie where Mammy is pulling the corset and she wants a certain size waist. Mm-hmm. And it's like a 16-inch waist she's looking for. And she's like, well, before my last baby, I was at a 16. Get me back there. And she's like, you're never going to get back to 16 because Mammy knew once you have a baby.
Once you have a baby, it goes
shit
downhill.
Changes.
It goes downhill from there.
You ain't ever getting that waist back.
You ain't getting that waist back.
Nah, girl.
I mean, I'm sitting here wishing that I had my 16-inch waist.
That's like this big for those of us watching. Like, that's if you put your
Because, I mean, if you think about
hands together.
The body imaging has changed so much.
Mm-hmm.
In a course in the history. You know, my size right now in Grecian, territory would be considered godlike.
Mm-hmm.
Or, in the Tudor age, this would be considered aristocratic.
Oh, if we were back in like 1500s London, we would be the ones that were married off like that.
They would be like, oh shit, look at that childbirthing hips.
Full figure childbirthing hips and pale
you've been feeding that bitch good.
Yes.
She's busting out babies left and right.
She's not too skinny. She'll give me a son. Get her. I want her. She's pale too. I like that.
So it's so funny how we went from like all of that, and then when we get into like the 1700s,
right about when the American settlers were hitting the colonies and stuff.
That's when like all the waist stuff was going on. And
they wanted a little middle, but they wanted this big, huge ass hoop skirt with.
I know, they're just like
the V on the top.
Yeah,
that was the thing.
Like little in the middle, but you got much back.
Yeah. Sir Mix-a-Lot would have loved hoop skirts.
Thank you.
I think, yeah.
So no, it needs to be big in the middle, and you got much back.
You know what else he probably would have liked? Googa attire. And yes, that really is a word they used in this book. It means cheap, showy jewelry or ornaments on clothing. I think more the ornaments on clothing would be
I honestly thought that said Googon.
Yeah, Googa. So that's spelled, for those of you listening.
So basically bling?
Yeah, bling. G-E-W-G-A-W. Googa. And you could tell me if I'm saying it wrong.
Look it up.
It's a real word, I promise. The other thing I thought was funny is parvenu, which sounds kind of like a French word, was a person who suddenly rose to a higher economic status, which is what happened to Scarlett.
I mean, that would happen to me.
After she went hungry.
That would happen to me in the Grecian.
You're a parvenu. Parvenu.
Could you just see Moira saying that?
Parvenu.
Parvenu.
I can't do Moira Rose.
Parvenu.
Well, so there's some other funny ones on here. Like, you and I text each other during the week about peccadillo matters, which is a petty misdeed. So if we're being petty, we're being peccadillo.
That, an armadillo?
Right. The petty armadillo. Peccadillo.
We are the petty armadillos.
I like it.
That's right. That's what
That should be a band name. The Petty Armadillos. I would go see that concert.
That'll be us. That's our next one on there.
But like Gore, we have to be in like the full holiday armadillo friend suits while we're singing.
Yes. Thank you, Ross.
Ross Geller for the win here. I also thought this one was funny. It's called Weg-livered. And that one, it's somebody or something that's false, weak, or cowardly. If you're weg-livered.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, like, in this, like, in the West, they're like, what? Are you yellow-livered?
Yeah. Yellow belly.
Yellow belly.
Coward. And this one hasn't changed since the Civil War. A trick is an adorable little lady.
Yep, that has not changed at all.
I thought that was real funny. I'm like, really? Trick was the thing back then? Wow.
It has not changed through the years.
See, now this is something I think you would say. Drop the moonlight in Magnolia, which means stop putting on airs and give up the ruse.
Absolutely. I'm going to use that at work tonight.
Drop the moonlight in Magnolia. Come on.
With a snap behind it.
Or you could call one of your customers a mealy mouth mini, which I thought was funny too.
I'm sure I did that last night.
An insipid and somewhat subservient person.
While I'm turning my trick.
Why do I feel like Scarlett would have called little Prissy, the one that went, oh, Miss Scarlett, Miss Scarlett. She would be a mealy mouth ninny in Scarlett's eyes. I feel like.
I'm sure she would.
The slap her around the world.
If she was younger, she would have said that immediately, then slapped her.
Yep. Called her that and then got the hell out.
I mean, she had a lot on her plate that day.
Yeah. I mean, got to get out of Atlanta and the pregnant woman goes into labor. That's a lot.
How ironic.
That's a lot.
Carpetbagger hasn't really changed.
Mm-mm.
An outsider who seeks power or success.
And that was actually kind of a demeaning word, too, because they look down on, true Southerners look down on carpetbaggers because they were just benefiting from a bad situation.
Would that be like people who play the system?
Yeah, I think so.
We have a lot of carpetbaggers out there.
A lot of carpetbaggers.
See, you can't even say it like normal Ohioan. You have to do it Southern.
Yeah.
Carpetbaggers.
The other one that you have to do Southern is lousy, because it doesn't sound right coming lousy from me with my Ohio accent.
I know. Like you have to go like lousy.
Lousy. So that was the equivalent of oh my god or OMG today. It's surprise or pity. So like if someone's doing something shocking, you go, lousy Wanda, did you see that guy go over there?
Oh lordy, I did.
That carpetbagger trying to take Tara away from the O'Hara family.
They're turning a trick over there.
Oh my god, do you think carpetbaggers turn tricks?
Probably.
Were they the original prostitutes of the world? Scary.
Yep, we call all of those ladies.
What ladies?
Trashy? Yeah, the trashy ones.
The trashy ones.
Them tricks.
Well, winnowed was interesting because I always think of a minnow when I hear something with that like end to it. Winnowed is to diminish into oblivion due to a lack of resources.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's a weird word. It's a very strange.
I mean, when you say it, it sounds like minnow.
Yeah, see,
like just a small little fish.
You think
in a pond, in a big pond.
Oh, little fish in a big pond.
Yep.
Well,
oh Lord.
Who is your favorite character in Gone with the Wind? I have to know.
Oh, good God. I have to say Mammy.
Yeah, I mean, I know she's a stereotypical character.
She is a stereotypical character, and I mean, she really, like, if you think about it, she was the mom.
She's also the conscience of Scarlett the whole time.
And really, and that is what Mammy was. Mammy in the South was considered the mom.
Well, she was the person in the household that was raising the children while the mother was doing society planning and all of that fun upper
And of course they did have, levels and names for everybody who worked on a plantation.
Right.
And Mammy was the in-house work. Like she was the in-house person.
Took care of the kids and the making sure the cook was cooking on time and
really
all that stuff.
That's where they got the Aunt Jemima look.
Yeah.
From Mammy.
And did you know that she was the first African-American woman to win I'm going to say this wrong, I believe an Oscar?
I can believe it.
But because everything was still heavily segregated, they didn't let her in to watch the rest of the ceremony, and all she got to do was walk in and accept the award and then immediately be escorted out of the building.
I can believe that.
Which I can't wrap my head around that.
Oh, yeah.
That's crazy. And that's how amazing her performance was, everybody. Like, she was really that good. She deserved that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure if it wasn't an Oscar or something, just posted on our Facebook on what award it actually was. But it was one of those upper crust, very prestigious
So, I mean, if you think
awards.
about it, Mammy was the one that dished out the discipline and did it as much as possible to make those kids act right. But, of course, if it didn't go along the lines of the parents, then she would get in trouble.
And when Scarlett wanted to go meet Clark Gable, I just almost called him his real name, Rhett Butler in that jail in Atlanta to get money for Tara, and she uses the curtains, that infamous scene, Mammy demands to go with her because she can't go unaccompanied to the city.
Yeah.
To keep her reputation
So even
clean.
though the world was burning around them,
the social norms
she
were...
still had to continue that social norm. But if you think about it, she was raised to do that.
Yeah.
And it's like, and also, pretty much like, and if she was sold into it, brainwashed to continue to do that.
Right.
If she...
That was her role.
You know, out of line. If she was out of her role, out of that norm, she would get the shit beat out of her.
And that's why Prissy isn't quite where Mammy is, and she's learning to probably do a job similar to that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's so infuriating that she doesn't know how to birth babies, and that's why, you know, Scarlett's expecting her to know how to do some of this because she's been training for it.
Yeah, and if you think about it, I mean, at her age, she would have already learned how to birth children.
You would think, because she was like, what, 15, 16 years old?
Yeah.
You had to guess.
I mean, if you think about it, like the I hate using these terms.
I know,
But,
sucks.
I mean, it cringes me. But, you know, like, having multiple families in one little shack on the plantation...
She's
she's
seen some shit by then, you would think.
Yeah, by then, you would see how to, you know, be a midwife.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, but I'm going to end this episode with my favorite line from the books and the movies. And I don't know that it was ever actually said in the movie, but Margaret Mitchell wrote, "Life is under no obligation to give us what we expect. We take what we get and are thankful it's no worse than it is." Which I thought was pretty fitting for the pandemic times we live in now.
Yeah, and I feel like that is a quote for people to seriously live by.
Yeah.
I mean, because there's
life sucks, but it could be worse.
There's so many people out there. There are a lot of Scarlett OHaras out there.
Mm-hmm. We know a couple.
We know a few.
It's neither of us.
Neither of us. I mean, because we live by that quote.
Yes, absolutely. It could always be worse.
You take what you get, and you will receive. I mean, it'll take a while, but you gotta take what you can get.
Yep. So on that note, dear listeners, we will see you next week.
Because we are gone with the wind fabulous.
We are gone with the wind fabulous. See you next time.
Bye!